we're all storytellers, but we
Mm-hmm.
can't write a story unless we truly understand what one is. And it's a very hard word to put we all think we know what a story is in our gut. But if you can't define it in one clean, succinct sentence, you're not going to be able to write one consistently. You might get lucky sometimes, but you're not going to be able to do it on a consistent basis. And so
We talk about writing for television. You know, what does it involve? Because it's a show. When you are conceiving a show, when you are writing a show, it's a different ball game together because you are looking at long term vis-a-vis feature film where
correct.
it's a 90-minute, 70-minute, 120 minutes slot, and it's confined. But here the screenplay is much longer, and uh, it may have to be changed after a couple of episodes, 5, 10 episodes, 20 episodes next season. you know so
Yeah.
what is the vision when you write a television show?
Well, honestly, story is story. So if you are writing, doesn't matter whether a feature is a story, a movie is a story for the big screen, a TV is a story for the TV screen, a drama is a dramatic story, a comedy is a funny story, a novel is a story for pages for books. So it's the word I keep on using is story. So if you can tell a story, you can use it in any medium as long as you understand
Mhm.
proper story structure. Uh, so I work primarily as a comedy writer, and in
Mhm.
comedy, less so probably in drama, but in comedy, characters they arrive to a place at the end of the episode, and you kind of reset at the beginning. So if they've had any growth, it's kind of forgotten by the start of the next episode because if they grow too much, they lose what's funny about them because comedy is people being stupid and making mistakes.
What is the structure that you have in mind when you write for television? In cinema, you can have your structure, which is detailed act one, two, three, and all those things. But in television, there is an episodic structure and there is a series structure.
Mhm.
How do you structure these two?
It kind of depends. If you're writing on a streamer, the
Hmm.
streaming networks tend to want to have a giant cliffhanger at the end of every episode so that people will binge the next one so that they don't.
Hmm.
Back when I started TV, it was episodic. So you write an episode and you wouldn't see the next one until next Thursday and another one a week
Hmm.
later. And so
Hmm.
the differences now are that at the end of every episode, you tend to, if it's a streamer and you get this note from the network, you tend to put a new development at the end of every episode, just something to tease the audience so that they want to find out what happens in the next episode. It doesn't even have to be laced in throughout the whole episode. It just has to come at the end.
Hmm. So, and within the episode, you just mentioned about the turning point at the end of each episode. But
Yeah.
when you look at the whole series, is it
Oh.
planned in the beginning or you do it episode wise in an
That also
episodic
depends.
manner?
It really depends on what the network asks. My partner and
Hmm.
I did a show called Marin, and the
Hmm.
network they wanted a little bit of both. They wanted the option to air the episodes slightly out of order, but they
Hmm.
also wanted to have an arc that would cover the whole season. So what we wound up doing is the first episode was locked in place, episode 13, the last one was locked in place, and then we'd have a couple others scattered throughout that had to be in those slots, but any of the other ones could have been moved around.
Hmm.
So there's some flexibility there. So because they tend to want to air they kind of want to do things in their own. Sometimes they want to air it in their own order. Sometimes they want it serialized, is what we call it.
Coming to the structure of a feature film,
Uh-huh.
uh, how do you how would you advise somebody or the budding screenwriters to how to structure the screenplay of a film? Let's begin from the beginning. The
Yeah.
difference between the script and the screenplay. A
I don't
lot
know
of
what's
people
the
have this
difference.
confusion.
Those
So
words we use interchangeably here. So you tell me
yeah.
what the difference is.
When we start writing a screenplay, when we get down to the detailing part, what is the broad structure of a screenplay? Uh, what should be the beginning, the middle, the end, or these can be rotated. You could start from the end and come to the story. Or
Right.
what are the various kinds of structures people
Let's.
can use?
I'm gonna move my camera so you can see a little bit here. So
Hmm.
this is you can see I have a whiteboard over there, and
Hmm.
we use that for TV and film always. And
Hmm.
Oops. So basically, it doesn't matter whether I'm writing a half-hour television show, an hour-long television show.
Can you show that whiteboard again, please?
Yeah, it's a little. There it is. See,
Okay.
it's just a big board, and we divide it
Mhm.
into three. We divide three lines. You know, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and that's
Okay.
it. There's nothing on there because I got nothing going on.
All
I
right.
just,
All right.
but so that's for everything we do. It's for a
Mhm.
half hour, or hour long, or a movie, and
Mhm.
so we always get those moments down. We don't start writing until the entire episode or movie is broken, and by that I means all the beats are on the board. I want to know what the first act break is, the second act break. I need to know what the middle of Act 2 is. I need to know what the top of Act 2 is, and
Mhm.
we'll discuss this thoroughly. We'll spend, if it's a TV show, we might spend a week just
Mhm.
putting the beats on the board, playing with it. If it's a movie, obviously much longer.
When we come to the characterization and detailing locations, detailing time of the day, the detailing within the scene, how important is it for a screenplay writer to mention these things?
Oh, well, if you're writing a screenplay and it's on spec, meaning it's just a writing sample, doesn't matter at all. But when you're producing a television show, it matters quite a big deal. Some of the shows I've done are very low budget, so you have to be conscious of the fact that you don't want to have too many day changes, because every time you change a day, you have new hair, makeup, wardrobe. You
Mhm.
don't have too many locations, and you don't want the locations to be too expensive. You don't want to get the characters wet. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because if you get their hair wet, you have to reset, and that takes all this time. Like shooting in the rain is a nightmare, or shooting a shower scene. Or you don't want to get if you're on a budget, don't get the characters wet.
Okay, that's a nice precaution that comes out of
Yeah,
your experience. But
yeah,
in cinema, when we work in feature films, writing a feature film screenplay,
that is less.
that what kind of detailing in a scene would you suggest? What should a screenwriter be cautious about? What should
I
he mention, or what should he not mention?
I think there's a tendency for screenwriters, especially new screenwriters, to put too much stuff in the action lines, to over direct it. They want to do the director's job. And the reason why they
Mhm.
want to do the director's job is because their job is too difficult. Writing is very hard. So everyone thinks, well, I'll just do this other job. Let's open on the camera coming down the a valley and settling it. Like, let the director do all that stuff. Because also your script is going to be handed out, and you're asking whoever's going to read it, they don't want to imagine any of that stuff. No, the
Mhm.
truth is, no one wants to read the action lines, the stage direction. No one enjoy. They want to read the dialogue. So I always
Mhm.
say keep your action lines short and brief, because no one wants to read it, and that's not
Mhm.
your job anyway. Your job is, unless it's absolutely critical that you have the camera, the camera tilts up to reveal a monkey in a tree or whatever. Like if that's important, then you can write it in. But if
Mhm.
you can also reveal the monkey in a tree with a cut. You could reveal it with, there's a million ways to reveal it. So you don't have to direct it. It's only if it's absolutely critical that the viewer has to imagine something.
What are the common mistakes one should avoid while writing the screenplays?
But well, like I said, first over directing. The second
Mhm.
thing, I think the most important thing, is not starting the story soon enough. A lot of people think, "Ooh, just wait till they get to page 60. This is when things get really juicy," and
Mhm.
no one's going to make it to page 60. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You better start that story, boom, right up front. Get things going. Um, make it interesting. If you have something good, put it at the beginning of the story, because get people hooked in. Because no one's going to read it. They're going to, if they have a pile of scripts to read, they're going to toss it and pick up something else that captivates them from way early. Like I'm talking page 2 or 3 or 4. I'm not page 60. So those are the two biggest mistakes, I would say.
So what you're saying is one should come to the point straight away. You have to grab the viewer's attention in the first 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or whatever, and
Mhm.
then you can slowly reveal the story.
Yeah, I mean, I think of story like this. When I define story, uh,
Mhm.
people often, I think I can. We're all storytellers, but we
Mhm.
can't write a story unless we truly understand what one is. And it's a very hard word to put. We all think we know what a story is in our gut, but if you can't define it in one clean, succinct sentence, you're not going to be able to write one consistently. You might get lucky sometimes, but you're not going to be able to do it on a consistent basis. And so the way I define story, I didn't make this up, this is what I was taught, and it helps me a lot, is a story recounts the struggle of a hero fighting an obstacle to achieve a goal. That's it. That's what a story is. So a hero fighting an obstacle to achieve a goal. So once the audience, until the audience can identify the hero, the obstacle, and the goal, until they can identify it, you're boring them. And you're tempting them to find something else to do, and they will find something else to do. So they have to identify those three things. The sooner you can do that, the better.